Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here, back with all the results from AEW's Full Gear 2022. It was a really solid pay-per-view from start to finish, so let's just head right down to the drawers. And we'll start on the pre-show where Orange Cassidy, the All-Atlantic Champion, teamed with Best Friends, who I just recently got, along with Rocky Romero, and a revamped Danhausen, who is much more evil than he is nice now, to defeat the Factory. In a backstage segment later on, Orange Cassidy offered up a shot at the All-Atlantic Championship to Jake Hager, who's there under W. Morrissey. I don't have figures for these guys yet, but Ricky Starks defeats Brian Cage with a huge Rochambeau to advance in the World Title Eliminator Tournament. He'll face Ethan Page on Dynamite. The final match on the pre-show was Eddie Kingston taking on one of his idols, Jun Akiyama. He was incredibly emotional throughout. You could tell this meant the world to him. And after he and Ortiz lost in a tag team match on Dark recently, he finally got that win. In a funny little promo afterwards, he told everybody to buy the pay-per-view. Moving on to the main card, and Jungle Boy took on Luchasaurus in a cage match to start things. Jungle Boy immediately started bleeding, and unlike in the WWE, you can leave the cage without ending the match. It's pinfall or submission only. So, Christian Cage tried to get involved before he was kicked out, and then it all ended when Jungle Boy hit a massive elbow off the top of the cage through Luchasaurus, who was on a table, then put him in the snare trap for the submission victory. Let's head up to the local medical facility drawer because the Elite are back and off suspension. We'll grab all of them here, bring them back down. Let's move you guys over. That's right, the Elite appropriately come out to carry on my wayward son, but unlike what most people were predicting, Pac and the Lucha Brothers Death Triangle did manage to retain their Trios Championship. This came after Rey Fenix was initially hesitant to use the ring bell hammer, but then eventually did use it on Kenny during a one-wing angel. Notably, the Elite got a huge pop, and there were actually chants of "fuck CM Punk" during the match. Next, let's head to the women's drawer because we had Jade Cargill, who I recently got, taking on Nyla Rose for the TNT Championship. Nyla recently stole the belt from Jade, and Jade does manage to get it back after hitting a huge Jaded on Nyla. Interestingly enough, Jade came out dressed as She-Ra from the Thundercats, and because she was with Vicky Guerrero, Nyla came out in a lowrider. But yes, once again, your rightful champ with her belt, Jade Cargill. Let's head back up to the men's drawer where we had a four-way for the Ring of Honor World Championship between current champion Chris Jericho, the Ocho, Sammy Guevara, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Castagnoli. Throughout the match, there were a number of spots where the JAS members were fighting the Blackpool Combat Club members, as well as when each faction's members were fighting themselves. But in the end, Chris Jericho pulls it off. In an interview segment afterwards, Jericho says that there's no issues in the JAS, and he actually appreciated Sammy's competitive spirit. We'll head back to the women's drawer now, where the former Paige, now using her real name Saraya, takes on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, after a 5-year hiatus. So we'll point out the doctor down here next to Riho. It was a really good match where there were a bunch of iffy neck spots, I guess, just to get us nervous. But after Saraya hit all of her old moves with new names, she ends up winning the match. So we'll put her back there. And back up to the men's drawer we go, where we had a massive hoss fight for the TNT Championship between Wardlow, Powerhouse Will Hobbs, and the current Ring of Honor television champion, Samoa Joe. Near the end, Wardlow conducts a powerbomb symphony on Powerhouse Hobbs, only for Samoa Joe to sneak back in the ring, knock out Wardlow, and make Powerhouse Hobbs tap out in the Coquina Clutch. That means your new TNT champion and the owner of both the ROH and AEW television championships, essentially, Samoa Joe. We had a crazy no DQ match next between Darby Allin and Sting, taking on Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. They went all around the arena. Sting is absolutely inhuman. At one point, Darby attempted a coffin drop off some scaffolding, looked like it was about 20 feet in the air, only to get caught by Satnam Singh, who then planted him on the steel ramp. In the end, Sting countered the lethal injection into a scorpion death drop for the win. Back down to the women's drawer for yet another match. This time between Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter for the interim women's title. I really disagree with this interim title nonsense. I think if you can't defend it, you should be stripped, but whatever. Either way, in the end, Britt Baker comes out. Many people thought she would turn on Jamie, but she does not. In fact, she helps her out. She does a stomp onto Toni Storm and then exposes the turnbuckles. Jamie takes advantage and she is your new interim women's champion. Congratulations to Jamie Hayter. And Britt Baker seemed very supportive afterwards. And one more time we're gonna head back up to the men's drawer, where the Acclaimed, who I have represented by Daddy Ass here, took on Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. These teams are tied at 1 win apiece, so this was the rubber match. Max Caster had an extended intro rap this time, which was fantastic as always. But when Swerve tried to use some pliers to break Max's hand the way he did Billy Gunn's, Keith Lee said no, and Swerve slapped him across the face. Keith Lee walked out, leaving him high and dry, and the Acclaimed retained their championships. Finally, in your main event, we had an epic match between AEW World Champion Jon Moxley and his challenger, MJF. There was all kinds of great ring psychology going on here, but in the end, MJF tried to use the Dynamite Diamond ring, only for William Regal to come out and tell him not to. Then, after 2 ref bumps, Moxley had MJF in the Bulldog choke, but Regal told him to go wake up the referee, only to then slip the brass knuckles to MJF. He decks Moxley and becomes your new AEW World Champion. He went on to give a profanity-laced but hysterical news conference at the press scrum afterwards. And honestly, I think him and William Regal as the champion moving forward is gonna be fantastic. But that is gonna do it for AEW's Full Gear 2022. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to do all that normal YouTube stuff. Smash the like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may have, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. You can also talk to me over on Twitter at WrestlingOptimus, or see all my best figure photography over on Instagram at WrestlingOptimus. If you haven't seen my latest video, it should be on screen now. But until next time, I've been Wrestling Optimus, and I'll catch you later.